Hey guys, and welcome back to JG Music. Now if you're watching this video today, you want to know how to export stems properly. You may be watching this video because if you're an artist working with a producer who's asked you to send you stems, or maybe the other way around where you're a producer and you've been working with an artist and you want their stems, you want to be able to bounce them across properly. You want to make sure that all the times line up, and you may want to decide whether you're going to be sending a wet version of the stems or dry, and we're going to be explaining through the meaning of that as well. But basically, if you look right now, I've got a Logic project in front of me. This is just a little lo-fi beat I made. Give it a little quick play for you. There you go. Not really relevant to this video. Now we want to export each stems from videos. Now stem is each individual track. This is one stem, and all the stems together, we want to bounce them into a folder, separate them as audio tracks, so a producer can drag and open them in any other project, whether it's Logic, Ableton, or Pro Tools, so they can continue the mixing and manipulation of these audio files. How to go about this is, the first you want to do is you want to make sure that when you bounce the track that it ends where you want it to. So you want to drag, in Logic users, you want to drag this all the way to where the track stops or where the audio stops. So let's quickly play to the end of this. Okay, still slow, but we're going to stop it there. And now what that means is, when we bounce, as long as we don't have any of these individual like audio files or MIDI files selected, it will bounce from 1 all the way to where it ends, which in this case is bar 40. Now what we want to do is, now we've got it set to where we want to, is we want to hit Command Shift E, which is the shortcut version, or for those of you who don't want to use a shortcut, go on to File, Export, and then go down to export all tracks as audio files. Now again, make sure you don't have any of these tracks selected, otherwise it's just going to bounce within the region that you've got selected. So now we are here on our project, and normally it will open on the file that you want to save in. So you want to create a new folder, and you want to call it stems. This will normally be in the bounces folder of the project, and then when you hit create, when you press export, all of the stems for this track are going to go into this folder. So just to make sure, what you can do is, if you want to send dry stems, then you can click bypass effects plugins, and that's automatically to take all of the effects plugins off, i.e. that will be stuff like the compressors, the reverb, the equalization, or if you want the wet signal to send over, then just leave that blank. You also, in this case, normally don't want to include an audio tail, and the inclusion of volume panel automation, that's something whether the artist or producer wants to have that in. Normally I leave it out, because if I've done automation, it's because I want it to be like that, either a certain volume or there's a certain effect like a low pass riser which is in there. So at this point we just press export. Now what does it do? It's going to go through all the files, export the tracks, and then it's going to normalize the tracks, and then once that's done, I will show you the outcome in the folder, as it does take a little bit to do. Okay, so here is the stems now in the folder. Now the thing I want to point out, which you shouldn't worry about, is all these tracks will have slightly different times on them. Maybe not these two, pick the wrong ones. There you go, 325. Now the reason is because the audio file starts where the audio is first introduced into the production. So if the production, for example, comes in a bit later for the first time, like these 4 here, there is going to be the silence cut out there, because it's going to bounce straight from the first time it's played all the way to the end. So don't worry about that. So when you send the files into your projects, make sure they're just lined up with the end and they will line up properly. So the last thing you want to always do when it's going to sending the stems across is you want to compress the stems. So if you right click on and hit compress, it will then compress it into a smaller file, which makes it easier to send by email, by Google Drive, Dropbox, or on Fiverr if you're working with someone on a freelance site. And there you go. So when you open it up and click on it, as you see, any second now, you'll have your stems. So yeah guys, that is how you export files, more specifically in Logic, but the principle applies the same for any other DAW you're in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, keep making music guys, and I'll see you in the next video.